When it comes to the reading section of the PTE test, two question types comes into our minds. Reading fill in the blanks and reading and writing fill in the blanks. Out of these, the reading and writing fill in the blanks is the most important task of the entire reading section due to its weightage to both reading and writing sections. The first reaction that I get from students is getting scared of these question types. Don't worry, I have been there as well. But using the right techniques and tricks will definitely help you to get to a top score, and this is exactly what we are going to cover in this video. For reading and writing, fill in the blanks. Hello and welcome to Edutrainex Learning Channel, the pioneer in PTE training. I'm Anurag, your friend and PTE expert, and I'll be sharing the top techniques for this task for free. Don't forget to write your comments if you are still unable to improve on reading and writing fill in the blanks task, and we will definitely help you. To begin with, let's firstly understand what the task is all about. In PTE reading and writing fill in the blanks questions, a text appears on the screen with several blank spaces. Besides each blank, there is a button with a drop-down list, and you need to select the option that you think best fits the blanks. The drop-down itself contains 4 words that are grammatically similar and also have similar meanings. So you need to pick your answers very carefully. The text itself can be up to 300 words. And this task assesses both your reading as well as writing skills. So whatever you score in this question type fetches also marks for the writing section, but mainly for the reading section. There are about 5 to 6 questions of this type that you get in the PTE test, and with each having around 4 blanks, making this question type very high scoring and of utmost importance if you really desire a good reading score. This task judges your ability to use context and grammatical cues to identify words that complete the reading text. Each correct answer will give you 1 point, and since there is no negative marking, if you select any wrong answer, you still get marks for the correct ones. Now let me show you how these questions look in the actual PTE test. So this is how the reading and writing fill in the blanks question will appear in the exam. At the top, you see the instructions which explains you what you need to do for this particular task. Just below that, you see the text passage with several blanks. And as you can see in the image, there are drop-down lists containing answer options in each of those blank spaces. And then you also have a next button, and you click that to move to the next question. Now that you know what the task is and how it looks, time to move on to the crucial part and understand what techniques you can apply to solve the reading and writing fill in the blanks questions very efficiently. I'm going to cover 2 strategies, and I would say try both of them and then see which one of them works best for you, given your strengths and weaknesses. Or you can also combine the knowledge of both the techniques to improve your chances further. But to use the first strategy, your basic English knowledge should be good. Continue watching, as I'm also going to cover what skills you need to master this task and how you can build and improve those skills. So don't worry, let's start with the first strategy, which we call as the deduction based approach. If you guys know about the popular detective character of Sherlock Holmes, you would definitely guess what I'm trying to say here. It's quite simple. You need to wear a detective hat and then find the clues presented in the text and then deduce the correct answer using those hints. Don't panic. The first step is to read the entire text and understand the main idea that is being discussed. This will help you to choose the correct words from the list. And step 2 is to eliminate the incorrect or impossible answers and then select the best answer. Let's do an example together, and then you will understand what I'm trying to say here. See this example and pause this video if you want to give it a try before I discuss it. When I read it, it says video piracy was banned in the US since 1990s. However, for the filmmakers, the law is working dash. Don't go by your gut feeling. See the first sentence. It talks about how the US government has legally banned video piracy. But the second sentence starts with however. So this is your clue. So if however was not used there, the answer would be something positive, like perfectly. But the however used here, so perfectly is definitely incorrect here. Fine is also not in the correct word format. So we'll cross it out as well. And commonly is neither positive nor negative. Now because however has been used here, the sentence here is trying to contrast or say something negative. And I only see one word negative in the options, which is inadequately. So that will be the correct answer. Does it make a little bit sense now? Let's do another example together, which has two blanks now. Read the whole text. Australian scientists recently dashed strong evidence that the great white sharks in the Australian waters originate from different parts of the world. These findings dash to the well-established theory that these sharks are native to Australia. So what do you understand here? The scientists found that the great white sharks originated or come from around the world. But the established theory was that they are native to Australia. So do you see the connection here? Reading the whole text gives you the idea that the recent evidence is different to what the scientists believed earlier. Now you see the options. The first list has invented, uncovered, created, and find. Now let's start eliminating. Find is in present tense, and since the answer is in simple past tense, so it is not in the correct word format. Eliminate it. Look at invented and created. Scientists didn't invent or create any evidence unless the text would have been talking about some experiments. The text here looks more like an observation or discovery based findings. And uncovered is the perfect fit here, as it talks about revealing some facts. See how I use the hints given in the text to deduce my answers. Read the second sentence. Now it's talking about the findings dash the well-established theory that the sharks are native to Australia. So this is opposite to what scientists found recently, that the sharks come from all around the world. Now let's examine the options one by one. Prove is incorrect, as we need an opposite word here. Indicate is again wrong because the meaning not being appropriate here. And secondly, this is also not grammatically correct. So we are left with contradict and false, the opposite ones. These findings, false the well-established theory, is definitely incorrect grammatically. Contradict the well-established theory is the best option here. I hope these two examples make much more sense to you now, how we have been using the deductive based approach to conclude our answers. So time to do a full-length practice question using our first approach, which is the deduction based approach. This time I'll give you a full 40 seconds to read the text and then we'll solve it together. So the text is about the invention of the first printing press and how it spread across Europe to print the popular books. So that is the main idea here. Now let's start examining the sentences with blanks. The second sentence talks about Gutenberg developed a dash printing system and the options are fragile, complete, pleasing, and gratifying. And using the clues, we need to start eliminating and deduce our answers. There is nothing in the text that says about if the printing system was meant to please or gratify something or someone. By the way, if you don't know any word meanings, keep those words aside and then look at the other words. If you find a perfect fit, you don't need to guess the meaning of the remaining words. And if there is no perfect fit from the remaining words, only then mark the unknown word as the answer if you feel so. So in this case, let's eliminate pleasing and gratifying first. Also eliminate fragile, as fragile is weak and weak printing systems can't produce millions of books. So little bit of common sense is also needed here. The second one, complete, makes a perfect sense here. Why? Because the text begins with talking about the invention of the first printing press. So logically, the complete printing system is the best answer here. The second blank sentence says, his newly dashed hand mode made it possible to produce so and so. That enabled mass production. So let's start eliminating first. Does the text talk about his invention as copyrighted? No. Eliminate that. Also, copyright is mainly associated with intellectual property rights. With inventions, it's more like patents. Or did he purchase this hand mold? Definitely not. So eliminate the third option. Now think about, did he acquire it from someone? Absolutely not. It was his own invention. So that leaves us with device, which is the best answer and also makes perfect sense here. His newly devised hand mold, meaning he made something of his own. The third sentence with a blank talks about how it spread from Berlin to the other parts of the Europe. Just by looking at the options, you should be able to guess which one is the best answer. It's spread, the first one. Annexed is wrong because it means adding something to a document. Aspired is again wrong as it relates to ambition and desires. Not the best fit here. Appropriated is again incorrect. Even if I don't know the meaning, I know definitely it's incorrect as it doesn't relate to spreading. And by the way, appropriated means devote something for a purpose, like appropriating funds, yields, expenses, etc. So it doesn't make sense here. So did you see how I used the clues presented in the text and use little bit of vocabulary knowledge to deduce the correct answer with my common sense? And this is exactly how you should also be doing it. Now let's move to the second strategy, which is the academic approach. In this approach, I will discuss with you how we can use the English language skills to solve the fill in the blanks questions. But before I deep dive into those skills and how to use them, I want to show you the importance of words and how you should be choosing the correct choice. The expectation and trick here is to say the correct word in the correct form at the correct place to say the correct thing. Now, what does that mean? Correct word means a word with the correct meaning. Correct form relates to grammar, whether you should use past tense or noun or verb format or so on. Basically, the right word type. Correct place relates to collocation. So the word pair should be correct and correct thing relates to context. The word at a particular position should make perfect sense, just like the way we used in the deduction based approach. To use this formula, you need certain skills, and they are vocabulary, grammar, knowledge of collocation, and understanding of context. Let's start with the first one, which is vocabulary. This is something that can't be learned in a day. You need to be regular. With regularity and practice, you can definitely improve your vocabulary skills. There is a beautiful article on how to improve your reading skills, especially for PTE, and the link is provided in the description, that you can read and prepare a plan for you to improve. We will also soon make a video on necessary reading skills and how to improve them. But to begin with, you can start with a word list. That is also part of the collocation list provided by the official PTE website. I have again provided the link in the description, or you can also drop a comment to us if you are unable to find it, and we'll help you. Having a good vocabulary is very important for the entire PTE test. So why not improve your vocabulary skills that can definitely benefit you in each and every PTE exam tasks? See the example on the screen. An extremely dash idea paves way for greater things. And the options are talented, inspired, creative, and mastermind. Now, if you know the meanings of these words, this becomes so easy for you to understand. Even if you don't know the meaning of the words, you can still use your logic and common sense to try and get to the correct answer. Let's start using this to eliminate which answers can't be correct. It's talking about an idea. Can an idea be a talented or mastermind? No. These words are often used with people. What about inspired? No. Ideas can be inspiring. Can the ideas be inspired themselves? No. So that leaves us with creative. Yes, creative is the correct answer. And it also sounds correct. A creative idea. The second very important skill for this task is grammar. And within grammar, it is quite important to understand the word types. Now I'll explain you these word types in the easiest way possible. See the word types on the screen, which are nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, and conjunctions. There are others as well. But in this video, I'm just covering the essential ones that you definitely need to solve the fill in the blanks questions. Let's begin with the nouns. As we all know, noun is a person, place, or a thing, and it can also be an idea like freedom or inspiration. Basically, the words ending with shan normally. So, take this pen for example. What is this? It's a thing. So, a noun. Now, if I say, I have a pen, it is a thing. So, what is it here? A pronoun. Very good. Something that replaces a noun. Next, if I say, the pen is very beautiful. So, what is beautiful here? I am describing the pen here. And the pen itself is a noun. So, any word that describes a noun or pronoun is adjective. So, beautiful is adjective. Now, if I say I write with the pen, so what is write here? It's actually an action. I'm doing something. So, write here is a verb. And verbs always describes an action. Cool. Now, if I say I'm writing with this pen slowly. Now, see the relation between slowly and writing. Slowly is describing how I am writing. And writing is a verb here. So, what does slowly become? It becomes an adverb. Adverb is something that describes a verb or an adjective. See how easily you can understand the word types now. Out of the remaining, preposition shows relation between nouns and pronouns and other words. So if I say the pen on the table, on here is our preposition here, as it shows relation between pen and table. And lastly, the conjunctions. These are basically words that we use to join words together or phrases together in a sentence. So if I say, I have a pen and I use it to write. So and here is a conjunction. I'm quite sure now that you have understood the basic grammar word types using this simple technique. Let's do an example together. On the screen you can see a sentence. Before 1900s, the telephone was not dash and everyone had to rely on postal service. So before even looking at the options, we can clearly see the sentence is talking about an action. The telephone was not something. Now see the options here. Invented, inventive, invention, and inventively. So which one is the action here or verb here? Invented. So that's our answer. Guys, it takes a little bit of practice and patience to master these things. So my advice will be to keep doing it every day and soon you will definitely improve your skills. So don't worry about it now. The third skill that you need to master the fill in the blanks task is the knowledge of word collocation. What is collocation? When a group of words that often go together or that are likely to occur together, that is called collocation. The native English speakers use it very frequently. Again, to see the full list provided by the PTE itself, check the link provided in the description. It can be a combination of a verb, a noun, like achieve goals or collect data, or a verb and adverb that communicate effectively, increase dramatically. The other combinations of collocation can also include adjectives and nouns together, like brief introduction or commit a crime Or it can be a combination of adverb and verb, as in critically evaluate, closely linked. And lastly, it can also be a combination of noun and noun together, like government policy and information gathering. So if you see the previous slide where I explained the word types, now you can understand the relations that I just discussed about collocation. Knowing which words collocate together is very likely to increase your chances of getting the correct answer. So let's do an example together. We need to take dash action on the issue of inflation. You can see the sentence on the screen and the options are combined, collective, joint, solid. Now if you refer to the PTE word list of collocation, you will find out that collective and action is actually a collocation. And that's the correct answer. The other words here neither collocates with action nor they fit here meaningfully. The last very important skill, that was something which we also used in our deductive based approach earlier, is the understanding of the context. So context is nothing but the theme that is presented to you, or what is the topic, the main idea of the text. So you need to read the entire text in order to understand this. I will show you with an example what I mean here. Read the text that is shown on the screen. John and Tom are best friends, but they differ in their qualities. John is very creative and always has an eye for art, while Tom is not so bright. For a competition, both friends submitted their ideas. John's dash idea was praised, while Tom's dash idea was not so much admired. Now you get two answer options here, which are unimaginative and innovative. Now when you read the text, you understand from the text that from the beginning, John is the creative fellow here and Tom is not. So definitely John's idea would be innovative and Tom's idea would be unimaginative. So this is where the understanding of context helps you. So using these key skills, you can master the reading and writing fill in the blanks questions very easily. But it may take time and dedication from your side to perfect them. Let's do some full practice questions now. But before that, let's briefly talk about the time management. Reading the text should not take you more than 20 seconds. And for example, if you invest around 20 seconds per blank, your entire question will finish in between 2 and 2.5 minutes. So that's a recommended time frame that you should take when you solve these questions. Firstly, you should target to get the answers correct. When you start getting the answers right, then you should try to speed up and finish within the time recommended. On our learning platform, you can easily track your accuracy and time taken for every question that you practice. And if you are lacking somewhere, our AI will suggest you tips and also warn you. See how the AI monitors your performance and shows you where you are lacking and how you can improve.
For each practice question, there are color-coded explanations, so it is easier to understand. While practicing your questions, our IntelliAssistant keeps a track of each individual's performance on each of the tasks. And at appropriate times, it alerts the users and provides useful guidance, and also notifies the tutors if necessary.
Time to do some practice questions, and this is the time where you can apply the skills that we just learned. So practice question number 1 on the screen now. If you want to try it yourself first, pause the video now so you can attempt it by yourself. Otherwise, work it with me. See the question 1 on the screen. These are actually PT exam questions. So there are 4 blanks in total, and if you read the text properly, it is explaining about the internal combustion engines. So let's try to look at each of the blanks one by one. The sentence around first blank talks about how the hot and pressurized gases exert forces. So now see the options: diversification, expansion, enlargement, and amplification. So we need to eliminate the answers that can not fit here. I will use my vocabulary skills to firstly understand what these word options mean. I can't use my grammar skills here because all the options are in noun form, so there is no difference. How about collocation and context? Of course. So from the context, I definitely understand that the text talks about how the combustion engines work and what happens inside it. See the first two sentences. They mention how fuel and oxidizer combines to create force. Now I can sense that gases are burning, and I can see the word options are also talking about it. However, when I look closely, I find that diversification is related to a variety or cultural differences, so it can't be our answer. Amplification again doesn't fit correctly here, as amplify relates to increasing electrical signals or making something more intense. Now we are left with two options, which is expansion and enlargement. At this point of time, I will use my knowledge of collocation to find the correct answer. Expansion of gases is the correct collocation. Enlargement of gases is incorrect, as enlarge is mostly used with objects. So we got the best answer as expansion. Let's look at the next blank, which says the force is dashed to the turbines and plates. And the word options given here are also closely related and in the same grammatical form. So we need to use our collocation knowledge again here. A force is always applied. For example, I applied force on the table. So this is the correct collocation. A force is never executed or employed or rendered. So this is absolutely wrong usage. The best answer here is applied. For the third blank, we'll use the understanding of the context to solve it. See the first sentence of the second paragraph that talks about the combustion taking place intermittently, meaning that it is not continuous. The next sentence talks about a slightly different principle used in jet engines. So the correct answer will be continuous, as continuous is something contrasting of intermittent. So the first sentence of para 2 was talking about intermittent engines, which is not continuous, and this one is talking about something which is continuous. So continuous is the best answer here. Now eternal and endless are related to things that last forever. And we all know that's not the case with engines that definitely need fuel. So these two are wrong. Then consecutive means in sequence. So again, incorrect. Let's look at the last blank. It talks about classification of firearms as a variety of combustion engines. See the options here: patterns, configuration, formation, and form. Out of these, we can straight away cross out patterns and configuration, as patterns is plural, but here we are talking about singular. Classify firearms as a singular. Configuration means to configure something. Again, this is incorrect. What about formation and form? So formation is generally used with structures or what forms out of a process. So again, it's incorrect here, as the sentence is not talking about any result, just as a form of something. So form is the best answer here, as we are trying to say that firearm is also a form of combustion engine. See how we use the knowledge of grammar, vocabulary, collocation, along with the contextual clues to get the correct answers. Let's do another full practice question, and you should pause the video again if you want to try it out yourself first. So this is a big test, and there are around 6 blanks, and overall the text is about slums, access to clean water, and sanitization. So that's the main idea here. So having read the entire text, we get what the main idea is. Now the next step is to look at each of the blanks and then determine the answers. So if you look at the first sentence, it says, despite considerable progress made in the last two dash, and the options are span, decades, period, and time. So we'll use our grammar knowledge here, and if you note down, there is span, period, and time, which are uncountable nouns, as you can't count them. So they can't come after the last two because we are trying to count here. So decades is the only answer option that we can count, and it also in the plural form. So 2 decades, and that's our best answer. Let's look at the next one. The next sentence with the second blank says, the percentage is extremely high in sub-Saharan Africa, dash from 70% in West Africa, and so on. And the options are over, varying, ranging, distributed. Now, do you see a collocation here? Exactly. Ranging from is the correct word combination. Hover is not in the correct word form, and hovering from is also not correct usage. Distributed is again incorrect, and varying from may sound correct to you, but vary usually highlights the differences. But the text here is just talking about a range. So that's our second answer. The next sentence with blank says, in the less developed dash of Asia, the options are regions, terrains, districts, and domain. Now let's use our grammar knowledge to eliminate the impossible answers here. We can straight away eliminate terrain and domain here, as it is in the singular format, whereas the sentence definitely needs a plural form. So that leaves us with regions and districts. Now Asia is a continent, and using districts to talk about areas is not very precise, as districts are mostly used when we talk about smaller areas like cities or communities. So region is the most appropriate word here, and hence our best answer. Look at the next one. It says, alarmingly 22% of the West Asian urban population lives in slums, which is dash lower than the world average. And the options are quite, very, highly, and significantly. Now let's look at each of them. Very lower, it's definitely incorrect usage. Let's cross it out. Now if you are confused between the other three options, let's try to take it one by one. Let's take highly first and then read the sentence. It comes out as highly lower. Just by listening to it, I can say it's faulty. Highly lower. So it's actually talking about two contrasting things in these two words. And that is definitely incorrect collocation and never used together. Now out of quite and significantly, I use the clues provided here. The sentence says, alarmingly 22% of the West Asian population lives in slums. See the word alarmingly, and that's your clue, which signifies something of high importance. So significantly is the best word that can fit here. Also, significantly lower and significantly higher are the correct word collocations. You can also check the official PTE word list. Now let's look at the next sentence. Is access to safe water and adequate sanitization are among the indicators used to monitor progress towards dash sustainability. And the options are societal, environmental, regional, financial. So what is our first step? Time for elimination. Let's look at each of the options. I'll start with the ones that I can eliminate very easily. So are we talking about financials here? Think about it. We are not. So eliminate financially straight away. Look at the first option, which is societal. Now think about societal sustainability. We are talking about large regions of Asia and Africa. So societal can't be our best answer here. Cross it out. Now the remaining two options are a little bit tricky. We are definitely talking about several regions of the world, but are we really talking about regional sustainability here or for the overall world? So use the hint provided in the last sentence, which says this is a matter of concern when it comes to environment. So that gives you a hint that the passage is actually trying to get the reader's focus on environmental issues, and hence environmental sustainability is the best answer here. Finally, the last sentence with blank is overall more than 120 million of the urban population lacked dash to adequate water supply and improved sanitation services. And our options are access, link, approaches, entry. So let's try to understand the meaning of the options here and then try to eliminate the ones which can't fit. Are we really talking about approaches or entry? Absolutely not. The sentence is trying to say that 120 million people don't have water. So access to water supply is the best answer here. Link to water supply definitely doesn't make sense here and is less appropriate and definitely incorrect usage. So the best answer here is access. Great job. So we did a lot of examples and practice questions here, and hope slowly things are getting more clearer to you. I will now proceed with showing you some frequently asked questions about this task. So just have a look and read it briefly. So develop the required skills that you need to master this task, and then do a lot of practice questions. That is the best formula to get a high score in the reading and writing fill in the blanks questions. Use the approaches that we have suggested and you will definitely improve. Please support us by liking the video and also subscribing to our informative channel, and share these videos with your friends so they can also learn the useful techniques that we have shared to clear the PTE test. And good luck with your PTE preparation.